The big takeaway for me is there's an element of it that is very formulaic, but it doesn't feel inauthentic.
And it never feels like that when you're receiving it, though, too. Like, oh, they really care.
I think it's at its best when you have that shared language with the people that you're living life with.
That is Joseph and Hannah, married almost 9 years and friends of mine and Victoria's for over a decade, and our first ever guests in the podcast studio. They both went to the Creating Connection and Conflict to Connection class from Equipping Ministries earlier this year. One of them walked in as just a natural extrovert, but gets nervous in one-on-one situations, whereas the other is more of an introvert who lights up in a small group but freezes when they're on the stage. In this episode, we get into what actually happened in those classes, where the skills felt forced and where they came naturally, and what it means to bring a shared language into a marriage, into parenting, into a youth group, and into a workplace where they have no idea what it means to actually listen. Take a listen, enjoy the episode.
How did God design us to be human? This is the Human Project Podcast. My name is Chris, and these conversations are about being relational disciples who know, love, and follow Jesus. The conversations we have on the Human Project exist to equip you to do just that. Welcome, everybody. We have been a while since we recorded an episode, and I'm super excited because we have our first ever podcast studio guests on here. Welcome to Joseph and Hannah. Woo, applause. We'll do the applause.
Yay!
That sounded like from Monty Python. And there was much rejoicing. Hooray! Well, welcome, Joseph. Welcome, Hannah.
Welcome, Chris.
Thank you. I feel
To
so
yours
welcome.
podcast studio.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you guys here. So you guys recently got to go through a couple of the classes that we have at Equipping Ministries. And I just kind of want to hear your story and you get a chance to share like what happened, what did God do, what were things like before, what's kind of shifted and changed as you guys got to experience the classes. So let me rewind us all the way back because I've been with Equipping Ministries for a couple years now, and I know I've talked to both of you about it quite a bit. Oh my goodness, Chris keeps talking about this thing. But Joseph, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
Since you and I have a little bit longer of a history than Hannah. Not much longer. How long have you guys been married now?
Almost 9
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
No, you're like,
Yeah.
I didn't know there would be a quiz to start. 9 years?
Yeah. We've
Has
been
it really been
together almost 12 years.
Yeah. No, 11.
Yeah, you're right. 11.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. So actually, before we dive in, tell us a little bit about yourselves, like known each other for 11 years or
Yeah.
been together 11 years?
Yep.
Married 9?
Yeah. I'm Joseph. This is my wife, Hannah. We have 2 girls, Eliza and Iris, who are 3 and 1, respectively. And yeah, we have been married for almost 9 years. Known each other for 11, met through a weird series of events. But yeah, to answer your question, so I have been a part of Living Church, which is the church that Chris and Victoria and their family are also a part of, basically since it was founded, minus a little gap in there. But and I've known Chris since almost that time. I think, Chris, you came around pretty early on in the Living Church journey. At the time, I was leading a house church with a couple other guys, and through a friendship, Chris showed up. And yeah, I don't want to steal your story, but met Victoria there, and we've been really good friends for quite some time. And Hannah came into that picture a couple years after that, and yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys get married 2015 or
15.
16? I feel like
2015.
Quiz for you now too.
I remember going to your guys' wedding. It was like very early on
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
for us. Yeah. But it was like one of our first
That was such a blur.
weddings that we went to together. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, one of your first weddings. That's
Cute.
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joseph was actually one of my groomsmen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, our friendship goes back quite a ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
super awesome to have you here. So the last couple of years, I've been talking a lot about Equipping Ministries.
Mhm.
What kind of opened the door or made it different about me talking about it this time? Because you guys came to a class. When would that have been? January? March? March.
March. Yeah.
Yeah,
March and May.
March.
Yeah. March and May.
Yeah. So what prompted you to kind of be interested in the March class? Tell us a little bit about like what you heard and
Yeah.
what made you decide like, yeah, this is something worthwhile.
I think really like the main draw was just seeing your passion for it and seeing how it had been really transformative for you in Victoria. I understood it at a abstract level of like generally what the goal of Equipping Ministries was and what the goal of these classes were, but wanted to see it in person and, you know, honestly wanted to take away and have some of the skills that I've seen you build.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything to add, but
yeah, I didn't know as much about, like, I mean, I knew you guys had taken over and had been involved for a long time, and Joseph was just like, hey, they're doing this class on, was it Creating Connection? Is that the official title?
Creating Connection. Yeah.
The first class, and he explained like it's, you know, skills to connect with people, and I was like, me as an introvert, I could use that, and maybe it'll help me talk to people, you know, randomly that I don't feel like I know as well or have as much in common with or whatever. So I was like, okay, let's try it.
yeah, I guess another piece of that too is so Hannah and I lead the youth group at our church here, Living Church, and then we're not the pastors of our house church, but we're kind of like not co-leader. I don't know what you'd call it. We are like kind of the first helping couple. So we have some leadership responsibilities there too. So I feel like those skills I was hoping would not only be good for us in our marriage, but also for our roles in our church to more authentically lead people.
Yeah. So it sounds like there was like a personal aspect of getting to see Victoria and I doing this and seeing the change that had happened, as well as like what you're looking for personally and then your leadership.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, okay.
Absolutely. Because it seems like these skills are universal in the sense that you can use them anywhere. Like they're not, they may be more applicable in certain situations or certain relationships directly, but like learning to listen well and build authentic connection with people is kind of valuable in any aspect of your life that other people are in.
Yeah.
So
I want to hone in on something Hannah said a little bit. You said more introverted on the side of things. How would you guys describe kind of like how that plays out for both of you? The introversion, extroversion, which are very generic labels, but
yeah. For me, I think like when we go to settings where there's large amounts of people, and I know I want to connect with people, like, and I want people to feel welcome in our church, or, you know, like we're on leadership, and I want to be able to like talk to people, but then I get so nervous, and I'm like, I have things in my head that I prepare for ahead of time. Like one of the questions leading up to the class was like, do you find that you're rehearsing what you're going to say or something? And I was like, yes, all the time. And then I get home and I'm like, I meant to ask this person about this thing that I know is going in their life, and I've been thinking about it, and I just like forget, which I still do. So it's just like a nervousness, and then I just get, I think, overwhelmed, and I'm just like, just survive in the conversation.
Like I'm here, I'm present. Let's do this.
And I like truly want to hear about you, but then I'm just distracted. You know, the kids are running right. You know, I'm just like in and out of conversations. So that's probably I'm like most introverted.
Okay.
I would say.
Yeah. So like you go to those social settings and you have intent, you have a goal of like, I want to be there, I want to be present, but then it's happening and you go, or something gets missed.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that similar for you, Joseph? Or
I would say, like, well, first of all, to give Hannah credit that she won't give herself, I think the flip side of that is she is phenomenal at like one-on-one relationships. And, you know, like thinking of our youth group right now is heavily skewed towards middle school. And Hannah is great at building relationships with, you know, the middle school girls. Where for me, as more of an extrovert, first of all, I talk a lot. That'll probably become obvious by the end of this episode that I talk a lot more than Hannah. But like I am zero stage fright. Like put me on a stage, put me in front of a group of people, put me on a podcast. Like I'm totally comfortable. Ask me to sit down one-on-one with a middle school boy and have a deep, real conversation, not just talk about sports. And that's where I'm like, I don't know what to say. Like, thankfully, most of the guys in our youth group right now are like, I have a good relationship with, and they're very talkative. But as a general rule, like that is much harder for me, where I think Hannah is much more comfortable there, where Hannah getting up on a stage in front of people is terrifying. And for me, I'm like, sure, let's go for it.
Okay.
Um,
I was just reminded of a memory from my childhood. My parents like wanted me to be involved in the church musical as like a 5th grader or something. And they bribed me. Saying that they would buy me a violin, which I wanted to learn violin so bad. If I did, like, got auditioned for a part in
Wow.
like the church musical. And that's still true. Joseph's dad had to stand up there with me while I gave my speech for student council.
So did the violin get acquired?
It did.
The bribe worked.
The bribe
You-
worked.
you did
I
the
had a
Christmas
very,
play.
very minor part, and me and my best friend, who's like 4'11", were twins, which is hilarious because I'm like 5'7" or something. We're like even back then we were like a foot different.
That's a fantastic memory. Yeah, I think there's so much about how we grow up that kind of gears us one way or the other, whether we're really outgoing in group settings or whether we're more reserved in group settings. Like I tend to gravitate more towards Joseph. Like I love being in groups, but my goal of a group is to kind of get to know people and then dive into the one-on-one relationship. So it sounds like you guys came at it from pretty different sides coming into the class. So walk me through what your expectation was leading up to the class. Like, what did you hear? What did you kind of think it meant, or what was involved in it going into it?
I think I knew a little bit of what to expect because of hanging out with you. And like when we would get lunches, you know, I would see like you had given me some preface and I would see some of these skills come out. But I remember joking during the first class, like towards the end of it, I was like, now I know what Chris does to me when we meet for lunch, because I would see those skills, like the things that I learned in the class were things you were using to help us have deeper conversation. I think I was mostly just hoping to learn those skills, like to just have this like starting point. And I know it's like none of these skills are something you go to one class and then you're just like perfect at relationships. I'm very much of like a frameworks thinker, and like you give me like if I can visualize a decision tree or like a table, that helps me in real life, which sounds super nerdy, but like that helps me through like how to get through a situation and make it a positive experience. And that it gave me some of that for like, I've heard the idea of like reflective listening. I've heard the idea of, you know, like these ideas of just like being present, but this gave like real tools to do that. And like very practical, like when someone says this, think this, say this almost. And it not like that made it sound really robotic and formulaic, and I don't mean it that way, but just like, I don't know, practical tools, I guess, is kind of what.
Let's explore that more as we get into it.
Yeah.
What about for you going into the class? Like, what did you expect? Like, Joseph's dragging me along to this thing. Like,
I mean, he wasn't dragging it was his idea.
Yeah.
But I was very much like, yeah, like that's something I could really use. But I don't think I had any expectation. Like, I don't think I knew it was gonna help you connect with people, and that's about it. Like, I didn't know if it would be mostly lecture, mostly small groups, which is like a mixture of both, which is nice because I'm like, I think if it would have been all small groups,
it would have been overwhelming.
it would have been, I may have started flooding, if you will.
Oh, pause on that. That's class number 2. Yeah, I think, no, that's good. So you show up day of class. It was at Marymount Church is where we had that one. What did you think walking in the room?
It was smaller than I expected.
Okay.
That is actually one expectation I think I had, that I thought it was going to be
100-person conference.
like a big room with like a bunch of tables or something. And that it was, like a big, similar to a conference session, maybe like a workshop or something at a conference. And I think our class was like 7 people plus
smaller
facilitators. Yeah. So I was like, oh, this is.
What'd you feel going into that?
I think I was a little more comforted by that. Like I was like, oh, okay. Because a few of the people we already knew.
Yeah.
Or a couple extra people.
Yeah.
So out of, I knew 3 people plus you in the class already. And so I was like, oh, okay. It's like not so overwhelming.
So a little more comfortable knowing some of the people that were already there.
Yeah. First of all, that building is beautiful. That was honestly my first impression driving. I was like, this place is cool.
Isn't it gorgeous?
It looks like a castle.
It does.
But because of my personality, I was both excited and a little nervous about like the more smaller setting, because I was like, as soon as I walked in, I was like, I'm gonna have to talk to people like one-on-one. I'm gonna have like these personal conversations where if it's, again, for me, like if I'm in a room of 30, 50 people, like I'm more comfortable there, and I'm even more comfortable there, like standing up and saying something in front of the group.
Mhm.
But in that small group, for me, there was a little bit more of like, I'm going to meet people and have real conversations with real people that I don't know today. And good, but like for me, that was a little bit, I would say it had a minor amount of the opposite of what it did for Hannah, where for her, she's like, oh, this is good. I was like, ugh, this is very intimate.
No place to hide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good call out, and that's a really good thing to think about. Typically, that was on the smaller side for us, 6 or 7 people. Most of our classes will cap at 25 people. Like we don't want a class of more than 25 people because that way you don't get to really build the connections individually with people. Sometimes if we go into a church setting or things like that, then there will be more than 25 people, but we really want to protect that everybody gets a chance to hear, everybody gets a chance to ask questions, everybody gets a chance to participate.
Do you change the number of facilitators based on
Yeah.
how many people you have? Because
Yeah, we try and keep that 3-to-1 ratio.
I would say I couldn't
let's talk
imagine it
about that.
being more people than that because it felt like we took up the amount of time that we had, like the time slot,
Yeah.
for breakouts that we had. Like if it were more, it would be hard.
So you mentioned breakouts a couple times, small groups, lecture. So walk me through kind of what that looked like for you guys as the class went on. Like what was the class experience? What was the breakout experience? What was the teaching side of it experience? What did that look like for the first class? Let's stick with the first class.
Yeah, I think I thought it like I remember saying this to Hannah like on our way home as we were just kind of debriefing. Like it felt like, I'm not just saying this because you're here, but like the perfect balance of like teaching, lecture, instruction with practice and involvement. Like I think you can go too far in either direction. Like I think you can obviously go too far where you just come get lectured at for 4 hours and then walk away and you're like, okay, cool, but what do I do about it? But I think you can also go too far in the other direction where like for most people, these are paid classes and like, I don't want to just come and talk. Like I want to come and learn from someone who has more expertise than me and who's spent more time studying these things and practicing these things. And I felt like it was a really good, healthy balance. I also thought I liked that the breakout groups with the facilitators was like, I think my group had 3 or 4 people plus the facilitator, which I also really liked. You still had like plenty of support, I guess maybe is a way to think of it. Like usually at least 2 people in the group were kind of thinking the same way and maybe struggling with the same practice or something. So you still felt a little bit like safe, but at the same time, it was small enough that you were really able to actually practice and everybody got their turn to talk through things and practice things and ask questions. And yeah. Also my facilitator, Karen.
Oh,
Shout out.
Karen, you're awesome.
yeah. Karen was my first facilitator when I came
No
to a class.
way.
Yeah. Uh-huh. She's my
Experience.
equipping ministries mama. And she'll own it too. She calls me her baby.
Aw.
So you gotta experience both sides of the coin with that. You gotta see enough to hear from somebody else and kind of get new insights, new perspectives, and at the same time put it into practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about for you, Hannah? What was your takeaways with that?
Yeah, I agree. I was glad that it wasn't all breakouts because I was like, oh, okay, smaller group. That's reassuring, but I'm like, I don't want to have to, share the whole time. That would have been hard for me too, I think. So it was like a good amount of learning and then practicing. And like my facilitator, Jordan, was great too. Like you could just
Shout out Jordan.
Shout out Jordan.
You could tell that they also have been practicing that. Like it was just, and I think I thought it would feel kind of forced, I get, like when we were practicing the actual skills, because I feel like I was forcing myself to use it, like it just feels different. But you're like, oh, like it feels like you really care about this, or that was a really good way to think about how to say that or whatever. So it was just really good to practice like right there when it's fresh in your mind from what you've just heard.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's one of the things that I think was a big takeaway for me is like, especially from creating connection, there's an element of it that is very formulaic, but it doesn't feel inauthentic.
Yeah.
which I think is such a hard balance to find in like personal relationships that, I've been in, especially in the church world, been in relationships before where it's so formulaic of like, we are going to meet up. I'm going to ask you these 3 questions. And like, even if the intent was good, it felt very impersonal and very just, like, I got to meet up with these people and check the boxes with each one. Or there's those other relationships that you maybe meet up consistently, but you don't really ever get into it. 'Cause it's just like, hey man, how you doing? Hey, what's going on in your life? And it's like, they're so open-ended questions that it never really goes anywhere. And I feel like the formulas of creating connections thread that needle so well to get like intention and purpose and depth, but without feeling impersonal and hollow or something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, because I've got to experience it, and I've got to see the pushback on it. Like, oh, this sounds like forced or robotic or like training wheels on a bicycle.
Yeah.
It's like how I like to talk about it. The goal is not for them to stay there forever, but the goal is so much of what we do and practice in the church world is it's very, very informational.
Mm.
And what we try and get to, especially in the creating connection class and the conflict to connection class and the renewing your mind class, is helping people move from information to practicing formation.
Mm.
And that's really the goal of that. Did
Yeah.
you see that kind of practiced or walked out there?
Yeah, I think so. And I think kind of to what Hannah said, I appreciate that the information is still there.
Mm.
Like you give it, I'm thinking even more so of the conflict class, but you give like the actual science of how the brain works. 'Cause like at least for my way of, I don't know, my brain, for how my brain works, like I need to know why, like I need to know what's actually happening. And that actually helps with the formation part of it. Yeah. So I think there's just a good balance there. You're not ignoring the information, but you're making sure the information turns into something more than just information.
Yeah.
I would say something that's been helpful for me is what exact scenario do I use this in? Like, where do we go from here? Like, we used our 1 example or 2 example scenarios like in class, and then I was like, okay, but in real life, like, how do I know when it's time to use this? Which has been cool to see. Like, now I know, like you've done it in this conversation of using the reflective listening. Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, I see what he did there. But like, it doesn't feel ingenuine. Like, I'm always, I think now, like, oh, someone's going to know that I'm like reflective listening. But I'm like, no one knows and no one cares. Like, I'm like, I saw it in our facilitators in the second class, like using reflective listening to get deeper into our conflict situations that we brought. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's an example. Like, it's helped me to be able to pay attention to when people are using it, to be like, oh, that was a good example of a time to use it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like taking notes on that too, of like, oh, okay, if this kind of situation comes up, maybe that's the right time to try it.
Nice. Yeah, I think there's an element of putting it into practice that's really, really critical. That when you're aware of kind of like you've used the word formula a couple times, and that's fine. You feel awkward doing it because it's a new skill. It's a new tool that you practice. Like the first time you picked up a baseball bat, you didn't just hit a home run. You probably missed the swing and like the awkward like T-ball.
Yeah.
Hitting it off the tee, completely missing the tee. How do you strike out in T-ball, to quote Brian Regan? But as you learn the stance and you start practicing it more, it becomes more natural. And I think there's a hesitancy that we have with tools. Like if I'm using a tool, it feels inauthentic. But really, like even just speech, even the English language is a tool. It's there to help us be able to communicate something that's going on in our brains and connect with somebody else's brain, and even deeper at the heart level as well.
And it never feels like that when you're receiving it though, too. Like I always think it's going to feel like in my head, but then when someone's like practicing that with me, I'm like, oh, like I don't think anything of it. I'm like, oh, they really care. And they're just like using that as a way to like find out what's going on or whatever.
Yeah. It doesn't even register.
Yeah.
An analogy that I thought of when you were talking about T-ball is like, I play guitar and have led worship since middle school. And the first several years that I was doing that, while I'm trying to sing and play, I'm like thinking about where are my fingers down here playing the chords, what's the strum pattern I'm using, what are the words to this song. But now, like, been doing it for, gosh, more than 20 years. And I don't even my brain is not even consciously thinking about playing the guitar because I've been doing it for so long. Like, I don't consciously think about like, what's the strum pattern? What fret is my finger on? Like, that just happens. And I kind of feel and hope that that's where these tools go, that I continue to use them. I continue to do the same thing, but I'm no longer thinking when I'm in conversation with someone, okay, I'm actively analyzing, okay, what are they saying? What are they feeling? Okay, well, how do I respond to that? Like, I think that will just start to become natural. And I think that's what I've seen in you. Like, when we've gone and had, lunch conversations and stuff, like, I don't get the impression that you're like having to deeply think about the tools that you learned in the class anymore. Like, you've just practiced it so much that now you're just good at having deep conversations. And I feel like that's kind of the goal, is not to do these specific, say these words at this time, but to like learn and practice to just be able to naturally have deep, meaningful conversation and relationship.
Yeah.
Because it's made me more aware of, like, in my brain, if I'm not using, or I'm still trying to figure out if I should use the listening skill or whatever. I'm like, am I being the adverse advisor right now? Like, I feel like my default is when I don't know what to say, I just like ask more questions. So like the investigator, asking them all the questions, and the motivation for me specifically isn't to just like be nosy and figure all the details. It's just like, I don't know what to say, and maybe if I have more details, then I'll like have something to be able to share or like latch on to. But now I'm like, okay, don't do that. Don't do that. Just see what they're feeling.
Yeah. There's a humility that comes with that in particular, is you're like, I'm not trying to drive or control the conversation, but I'm just trying to respond and just be with the other person. How have you seen that? Okay, where are you going?
I was gonna say, I feel like being, a leader for our teens, being on leadership at church, I feel sometimes a pressure to like offer some sort of like wisdom or advice, I think. And so I'm trying to let go of that too. I'm like, okay, I don't always have to say like something that they're going to be like, wow, that was so good. Like I can just listen, and then they'll at least know that I care about them, even if I don't have like a specific word for them or whatever.
Yeah, there's definitely something about that like we tend to think like, oh, like you said, you put pressure on yourself. One of the things that listening does, and listening is not always the skill to use. There's a time to confront. There is a time to give advice. There is a time to do all these other things. But I think listening is a really underdeveloped skill that we don't use that often. But what's great about it is it's actually creating a space for them to process, when done correctly, them process with the Holy Spirit. Like, you ask a question for them and you can start praying right then and there. Like, as you're listening to what they're saying, God, help illuminate and see if this is something that's accurate or not.
In some place that I feel like it, I'm blessed to have a lot of my friendships and my relationships are people that I have known for years. Like, since some of my best friends I've known since elementary school, and we're now serving in ministry together, which is such a blessing and so cool. But the flip side of that is that I'm not often put in a place that I have to develop or want to develop new deep relationships. But I also, as a believer and as a follower of Jesus, I want to share that with my coworkers, because my day job where I'm not in the Christian bubble. And these tools are really helpful there too, to do some work here, to actually have real relationships with these people and not just surface level work, talk about the weather and sports and what's going on the to-do list. Like, and these are so helpful, and it can almost, I think, be a little like disarming in a work setting to ask people how they're feeling about something, to even try to go there with someone who, you were in the corporate world for a long time, where everything is so surface level, and, all you're talking about is what you're doing on the weekend or whatever. I found this really helpful in that environment too.
Nice.
I feel like there too, they're not expecting you to want to go deeper. So I feel like there it even has more impact to us than as you're asking, they're like, oh, you want to know? Like, you care about that?
Yeah.
And
It's surprising. Thanks so much for sharing like what it looked like in the class and kind of how you've been processing it. Have you noticed anything different with like how you guys talk to each other using the skills or anything like that?
I've noticed it very specifically more in conversation and relationship with people I'm less close to, and like really intentionally trying to make those relationships deeper than with the person I already have the deepest relationship with. Not to say that there's not practical ways to use that in our marriage, but
yeah,
just to honestly answer your question, I've noticed it more in those relationships that weren't as deep.
I feel like I'm still figuring out like when not to use it. And I've actually like had a few serious conversations recently with a friend, and like I know the conversation will have like we have scheduled time or whatever to have the conversation. And so like before I'm praying, like I'm like, okay, help me to remember if I need to use reflective listening or whatever, like in that moment. And I haven't remembered every time, which maybe it means that I wasn't supposed to use it, but I have trouble like remembering that in the moment of like, oh, this is what it needs, you know, to keep going or to find out more. And so I just need to be better about using that, even like using it on something small. I don't know. What's a random example? Like,
it's part of your preparation checklist. It sounds like, is this something to keep in the back pocket? Because that's what it is. It's one of many skills that we have when connecting with another person.
Yeah.
Is the actual listening.
But I feel like it would be good for us to practice it on something like this morning, just was talking about like AI, the new AI features or something at Google.
Joseph was talking about AI.
What?
No
I
way.
hate AI.
But I should have been like, so I'm hearing that you're nervous about Google's new
About the future of
release,
humanity.
or the future of humanity or whatever. Like practice it on like silly things like that.
Yeah.
So we just feel more comfortable in this.
Silly
It's
stuff.
like Google AI is what I mean.
Yeah.
Instead of having to wait for like, oh, they're dealing with something really serious and really hard, and we need to figure that out, you know?
Well, and as you guys were talking, it hit me too that I think one of the reasons that I probably have seen it more in other conversations is because, I mean, you know how it is when you're married and you've got 2 young kids at home, like the time for like, we are now going to have an intentional conversation, that's very rare. Like usually you either kind of stumble backwards into an intentional conversation or it's like you have the intentional conversation over the course of 3 days in 5-minute increments when you get a second to actually have an adult to adult conversation. Where with other people, you know, if I'm taking one of our teens out to lunch, like I'm going into that with a mindset of like, I want this to be intentional. I want it to be valuable. Yeah. I spend time, like you were saying, preparing, praying, thinking like, help me to, you know, Lord, help me to make this meaningful. And so now that like this toolkit is something that comes into that like mental preparation. Yeah. But I'm thinking, as you were talking, like that should be something I think that we do, or that to practice, and probably is a good like reminder that we should set aside time to like, okay, this is like intentional, deep conversation time.
Because you can get lost in the minutia of day-to-day life, especially with 2 kids and represent girl dad life.
Yes.
Girl parent life.
Minutia, that was a good word.
Minutia, yeah. It behooves me to use
there it is.
There's definitely been times that Victoria and I have even asked each other for that. Like, I don't think you actually get what I'm saying or how I'm feeling about this. Like, could you try reflecting back to me? So when you say it comes natural to me, sometimes it does. But I think in our closest relationships, that's actually where we have a risk of over familiarity or overconfidence. So like we understand what the other person's at. And I'm not saying that's the case for you all. But like, I know that's the case for me and Victoria sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it is for us at sometimes.
So yeah, thanks for.
I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, and I know this is a big thing just from talking to you that like Equipping Ministries is passionate about, but I think it's so cool that, you know, because I feel like from the outside looking in, that could feel really like, what's the word? Like robotic for you and Victoria to do that in your marriage. Like, can you please reflectively listen to me right now? But knowing, like having, first of all, seen you and then having been through the class, like it's the exact opposite. It's like, hey, something's not lining up here. Like, we're not understanding each other. Let's use this tool to help our relationship grow deeper.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think a big thing that I'm becoming passionate about, just as having attended these classes and talked to you, is like, communities need this language.
Yeah.
Like, it's good for one person or for one couple, and it's valuable. It can still be very valuable, but I think it's at its best when you have that shared language with the people that you're living life with.
Yes.
Because then you have those opportunities. And I think even more so when we get to the conflict stuff, like, both of you having the understanding and the tools and the language to talk through that could be so, so valuable.
What a good conversation. In the next episode that Joseph, Hannah, and I hinted at, they're going to take us into the room for conflict to connection, class number 2. The one that Hannah half joked she might have gotten flooded in. We're going to get into what it actually looks like to bring these tools into a real disagreement, and what changed for them as a couple, as parents, and as leaders once they had the language to go beyond just connection into real conflict. So we hope you'll join us for the next episode.
Hey, thanks for joining us. We believe the world changes when people are not just informed, but formed. Relational discipleship is how that happens. Real connection, honest relationships, and a life shaped by following Jesus together. A dedicated team makes this podcast possible, and we're so thankful for every one of them. If you want to go deeper or be part of what God is building, visit us at equippingministries.org.